Well, believe it or not, it's been over 50 years since the junction of Interstates 80 and 81 in our area was opened. We take it for granted now as we jump on the highway and whiz around. However, things were not so easy before those 50 years ago. Here to tell us how it came about and what it means today is Charles McElwee. He's the Vice President of the Board of Directors for the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum. So this was a big event way back when, and it took a lot of work to get it to where it was.
Right, the Crossroads of the East was formed just over 50 years ago this month, and that junction is, of course, Route 80 and 81. But that was a years-long lobbying effort, not only locally, but really a product of an act known as the Interstate Highway Act that was passed by President Eisenhower and voted and written into law in 1956. So in 1956, we have this interstate highway system that will be formed thanks to President Eisenhower's signature. And that really transformed the fabric of our country. And it was modeled on the highway systems that were forming in Europe. And in the 50s and 60s, a lobbying effort was underway to develop what was known as the Keystone Shortway, to have a interstate highway system run through northeastern Pennsylvania. But even in 1962, there was still some pushback, known as the road gangs, the leaders at Can-Do, at the Chamber of Commerce.
Where you work today as well.
Exactly, and civic and city leaders lobbying in Washington to move what was proposed at the time. So in the early 60s, the game plan was to have Interstate 81 parallel the Susquehanna River. But it was really important to Hazleton to have that move east so the junction could be closer to the city and the region, and that the crossroads of 80 and 81 would have an industrial impact and a profound economic impact on the city.
Wow. So that obviously happened, and where would we be without it today? Because we take it for granted that we just automatically jump on the interstate there.
Right, and where the junction forms is unique here because clearly we all know that when you are at the junction of 80 and 81, you're within 2 hours of major metropolitan areas, whether it's Philadelphia or New York. And the difference for our region was that the highways did not run through the city, which was very good because in so many cities, whether it was Route 83 running through pockets of Harrisburg or Baltimore, or the Vine Street Expressway in downtown Philadelphia, highways in Minneapolis, oftentimes as a result of this Interstate Highway Act, it completely disrupted what was a natural urban fabric of these neighborhoods. And it created demographic divisions, it created blight, and it did lead to the decline of so many neighborhoods in urban areas. That wasn't the case in Hazleton. Of course, we know that urban redevelopment did not help matters, but instead what happened was it was economic stimulus because it produced a demand for manufacturing and distribution in Hazleton and northeastern Pennsylvania. And with the easy accessibility and the rise of trucking, you have distribution centers, manufacturing centers forming in the industrial parks that surround Hazleton. So it was definitely beneficial to the region. And we see its impact all the time, whether it's the truck accessibility to our region to deliver goods, or even when it comes to media coverage. If they're looking for, when Philadelphia reporters and New York reporters are looking for a region to cover, to understand the current political landscape, the easy accessibility to Hazleton makes this region typically the first place they visit.
All right, well, not far off the interstate is also the Greater Hazleton Historical Society Museum. If they want to donate to keep our history alive in our area, what do they do?
HazletonHistory.org.
All right. Make your donation today to help keep the Great Historical Society and Museum alive.